What's up there, Bears fans? Welcome back for another episode of the TailGate Show. We are fresh off of the draft. We are, of course, joined as always by Jeremy Kramer, AirJair54 on Twitter, and Brian Quinn, B Diddy, BQWin34 on Twitter, BQuin34 on
What's up,
Twitter.
everybody?
Whoa, the big reveal. He
Touchdown
comes
Jesus.
in. Touchdown
Yeah.
Jesus. And I am, of course, AARONTOR on Twitter. Well, it happened. The virtual draft, there were no boats, there were no fountains, there were no tigers and lions, but there were bears. And,
Your Hall of Famer.
future Hall of Famer.
Love it.
Yep.
Well,
Vildor Colmar. Lachavius Chenault. What?
That's a name.
Which one's the future Hall of Famer? Lachavius Sullivan. Oh, you mean Cole Komet.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Where
so
do you go
good
to
at
school
baseball.
again?
I think he went to the University of Notre Dame, actually.
Oh, the University of Notre Dame, right.
White Irish.
That is pretty exciting. Yeah.
Produced some pretty
That
good
is-
tight ends, actually.
Pause.
Pause.
Got a guy named Mark Bavaro. I don't know if you heard of him.
I have heard of Mark Bavaro. Touche. Touche. Good
No,
start.
but I mean, I was talking to Jared before we started recording, man. It's a little sweeter when it's a guy from a university that you follow and that you like their football team.
Sure.
If he was from Indiana, I would
You
be
totally
just as
should.
I would be just as excited. This is a Division I, legitimate, best all around, in my opinion, tight end in the draft. And I think he has a lot of room to improve from here. People are acting like this kid's just he is what he is, and he's 6'6", 262. Even if he puts on muscle, the way his frame is, this kid could get a lot bigger. For his size, he's very athletic. I know the numbers don't everybody, I mean, it's not an Albert O40, but the way he moves and how the way he's able to catch the ball when it's not near him, like it doesn't matter if people are around him. He has the instincts this kid has. I think he's gonna be a hell of a tight end for a long time, man. I mean, barring you never want to see injury, but I think like this could be a guy that not only fits in what Nagy wants to do, but we don't know how long the staff's going to be around if things don't start showing some improvement here. Cole's the kind of kid that can fit into no matter what coach comes in, he'll fit in. So I think I think it was good that we didn't box ourselves into a guy that would only fit what Nagy wants to do, and we got a guy that could pretty much be pretty solid no matter who you throw at him.
I like that. I like that analysis by you. It's pretty decent, and like I've said, I really don't care if you went to nowhere state. If you produce, good. Just all right, we get you. You were the local kid.
Right.
You were the local team did good by you, I guess. Now go show out. Be more loose with your hips. Be more fluid when you run your routes. Till then, you're just another draft pick that Ryan Pace could have failed at.
I don't think he failed here. And I know that like people keep bringing up the first year tight ends don't contribute, blah blah blah. This is a kid that if you look at what he's good at, he is good all around. Yes, he can improve on his blocking, but does he make blocks? Yes. I think the things he can do may end up making him contribute a lot faster than people think. Because I think right now, if you look at our roster, he is the most well-rounded tight end we have.
He's definitely the youngest.
He's 21 years old.
He's got a chance. I mean, would you compare him to Eifert? Are they comparable, or was Tyler Eifert in his prime better? You think?
I think Eifert out of college was better, but the injuries just never. I mean, he never more dynamic. Maybe I don't know if he was all around. Yeah, I think he was more of a threat, but his injuries just never.
Speed's never actually been a big thing with the tight end except for really Greg Olson. Desmond Clark wasn't out there. Shout out Desmond Clark, newest member of the Brawl Network. He wasn't exactly a speed burner.
No.
But he was consistent, a great route runner, and he could block.
Gronk's not a speedster. He's just a bull. Sometimes that's all you need.
I mean, I think that 40 time is extremely overrated, and people admit that it's overrated, but then when it's convenient, they want to go back to it like it matters so much.
Right.
Like, when is a tight end running 40 yards in a game? Almost never.
If he is, he's got a 20-yard lead.
Yeah, as a tight end, if you are running 40 yards, it is probably because your quarterback just threw an interception. Like,
kind of 40 is a white boy that's 6'6" and 262 pounds supposed to run.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like I get it. I mean, just looking up Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was 6'5", 255. He ran a 4.661 40. He was drafted in the 3rd round out of Cincinnati. It was the 63rd pick overall. Nobody thought nobody was like, oh, Travis Kelce's going to be the greatest tight end. Like,
it's true.
It's part of it's the offense that he's in, which is ostensibly the same offense that Cole Kmet is now in. And a lot of being a great tight end is having a big wide frame and great hands and being able to box out and catch the ball when it's put up high, because most of the time you are being covered by a 6-foot tall linebacker or a 5'10" slot corner. And who the hell cares? I mean, what routes are tight ends running? Like, you're telling me that tight ends are running like stop and goes and, some kind of crazy complicated routes? No, they're not. Because why? Because they're not fast. So you don't have time to run those routes. Like, you can't run, some kind of a crazy, 15-yard route if you're not a 440 guy. You just can't do it. So, like, I just get tired of all these people, who are like, oh, this and that about their routes. I just want to see, can they make catches? Can they stay on their feet? Can they take a punishment? And can they block when they need to block? I mean, because that's what a tight end needs to do. You have to sell the fact that you are staying in to block as a runner when you're actually going out to pass, and vice versa. And that's, I think, the number one thing is you have to be able to decoy that, because the ones that nobody ever believes are gonna do anything but stay in, then the defense doesn't have to worry about them. And then vice versa, if you, because a lot of times I think that's not talked about very much, but the tight end becomes the tell for the defense. They're watching what the tight end is doing, and the tight end is telling the defense what they're going to run, based on where they line up, how they line up, their positioning. If they look like they're about to run a route, they're probably going to run a route. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if they look like they're thinking about blocking,
it sounds like you know what you're talking about when you say this guy's not a good route runner, but you don't know what he's being asked to do in the game plan. I do know for a fact this Cole was their focal point in their passing game. He was the guy that they game planned around. He's the guy that they lined up on the outside. He lined up as right on the line. He lined up at half, fullback. You know what I mean? He's versatile. He can be moved around. You can see a lot of plays where he improvises when the route doesn't work. He has the awareness to come off his route and get open. He has a lot of intangibles that are very valuable at his position. He fights. He catches the ball. He fights to go forward. He's a big frame dude. Even if he falls forward, he's getting extra yardage. Those things, third and two are better than 3rd and 6.
What I see is a guy that is big, strong, can block, isn't like an amazing blocker, but when he was asked to block, he did it. He did it willingly. I mean, that's my biggest thing is like, I'm not no expert, obviously, about watching tape, but you can tell whether a guy wants to do what he's doing or not. And when he was asked to block, he looked like he was into it. Like, because
good enough to get the job done.
As somebody who I played 1 year of high school football, I hated it. Like, I hated playing football. It was a horrible experience. When I was on the football field, I tried as hard as possible to get down and get off the football field because I didn't like it. Like, I played second string offensive line and I was on kickoff team. And kickoff team, like, my whole goal was to find a way to look like I was involved but not get hit hard. And then get off the field, like, and if you think that doesn't happen going all the way up to the pros, I think you're kidding yourselves. I think there are players that, because they are, like Leonard Floyd, are athletically freakish, still look like they're amazing, but they don't have that effort. And then you have players who are not athletically gifted, who put in a ton of effort and can still be successful. Well, this guy seems to be both. And from what I see, I just look at him and I see a guy who doesn't have to try very hard to catch the ball. Like, he's a natural at catching the ball. He just reaches up and it just goes into his hands. Like, it doesn't look, and he doesn't lose his balance. Right. He doesn't lose his balance like Shaheen. Shaheen would reach up and high point the ball, and everybody used to drool about how he supposedly high pointed the ball. And I'm like, yeah, but his center of gravity is so trash when he does it that it's over for him. Like, he can't even come down with the ball. He's already going down, or he flips.
No, this guy's built like a legitimate tight end. He's not.
Shaheen, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you see him, he just reaches up effortlessly, comes down with the ball, snatches it, like,
with two people around him.
Yeah,
defenders.
Right, and he seems to, he doesn't shy away from contact at all. I just think, like, it was so interesting to me what happened with the Bears and tight ends, because early on in the draft season, when we all started looking at tight ends because we knew we really needed one, right? Like, it was funny how nobody ever talked about how this was a bad tight end draft until maybe like a month ago. Like, before this, it was Bryson Hopkins, Troutman, Albert O.
Was mocked in the first.
Like, Bryant, the other Bryant. I mean, who else? There was...
Albert O was in the conversation.
I said Albert O. The kid from Cincinnati that the Packers drafted.
Troutman.
Troutman. Yeah, that was the first guy I said. Like,
oh, my bad.
No, it's all right. But there was a lot, and I don't know if it was just us because we were so hyper focused on the tight ends that we were like imagining that it was a good draft for tight ends. But then as it started to get closer and closer, it was like, this is the wide receiver draft. This is the wide receiver draft. And it was like, wide receiver draft. And so the group think, including the analysts and I think Bears Twitter and everything, started to gravitate towards the wide receivers.
And then remember the draft when we got Trubisky, they said there was no first round talent at quarterback in this draft before the draft happened.
Right. And
you had Watson and Mahomes coming out of that.
Right, and that's the thing is that, and I mentioned this before, we are arguing about something that the best professionals get right about 50% of the time.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, do you think the reaction would be different if we would have picked Jalen Johnson first and then Kmet?
Absolutely.
I think it would be too.
Absolutely, because that would have seemed more obvious. Jalen Johnson sliding. He's possibly the third or fourth best corner in the draft, supposedly.
Got both of them. Who the hell cares?
I know, but I'm just saying, would the perception be different? Because,
like,
draft position matters. Ask Mitch Trubisky.
You're talking 43 and 50 in the second round. I agree.
I mean, honestly, like I
If
just
that
think,
tickles your fancy, you flip them in your head, I guess. Like,
well, to me, what it, if there was any perceived issue with value for Komet at 43, which is a highly arguable point, I don't know, my knee jerk reaction was just like, ugh, like really, like it just felt, I don't know, like it
Was
just
there a round and a half drop off between him and the number 2 tight end?
right.
That's the question.
I gotta, and this isn't just a homer thing. Like this, he's the most polished tight end in this draft. There's no question. If you look at all around game, the things he has to improve, man. Like how important a tight end is in this offense. We've been clamoring for one since Nagy got here.
I will give him that. That's one thing that they have done is see need, try to fill need, except for quarterback and running back.
And it hasn't worked out. And I don't think Komet was a reach, though. I mean, I think when everybody sees this, the way this is going to play out, they're going to be fine with it. I just can't, honestly.
I hope so.
Honestly, it is a vocal minority of people that are actually displeased about this.
Because their fantasy mocks didn't play out.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody's did. That's the one thing I took away from the draft.
It's just fun, man. Like,
but you know how it is. People think that they really have something figured out, and the thing is,
when they put draft in their name, that's their problem, though.
Agreed, but here's the thing: is that, and it's kind of
says
like
the guy with the Notre Dame shit behind him.
I'm just playing into the whole homer thing, man.
It's the thing about the draft, and the thing about it's like, and I said this from our show handle, that sometimes it feels like Pace is drafting like he's casting a movie about a football team instead of like actually drafting a football team, because the Cole Kmet narrative was so strong. And I feel like when you're considering, if you put yourself in Pace's shoes and you say to yourself, if this kid is there at 43, and they didn't trade up for him. No. If they had traded up to the first round and taken him, then you could probably scream and yell, because Absolutely. I don't think there was a shot that he was really going in the first round. But they sat there at 43 and they were patient, and it probably killed Pace to sit and be patient, because he's just not patient.
Can't see that.
No, I can't see it. But they sat, and he was there. If you do not take him, the hometown kid, the kid from Notre Dame, which is the Bears have drafted more players from Notre Dame than any other place in the history of the Bears. More, so you don't draft this kid. He's a highly touted prospect. He's no slouch. He's arguably the best tight end in the draft. You pass on him for KJ Hamler, and then Cole Kmet goes to the Lions or the Patriots or whoever.
Well, he wouldn't have went to the Packers. We figured that out with their draft scheme.
Right. Well, yeah. Apparently, the Packers have no interest in receivers, and we'll talk about the Packers draft, because what a shit show. But like, if you pass on this kid, who's just like the gleaming, perfect prospect, not only from a business standpoint. I mean, the kid's going to sell. And I even joked, like, his jersey sales are going to...
The stadium behind you is going to be piled in with people. Happy Komet is on the Bears. And
of course. What I'm saying is, if you pass on him, you are putting a serious bullseye on your head. For a lot of reasons. One, because I think it's stupid from a football standpoint. But two, just that you have to consider sometimes that anti-narrative that's going to crop up if you don't make a move, and we think that these guys are these cold, calculated, draft statisticians, and it's there's a lot of emotion that goes into these picks, and there's a lot of intangible emotion that goes into building a football team. So it's like, if you interview a kid and he sits there and he's 6'6" and blah 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 blah, and he's got all the measurables, and then he looks you in the eye, and maybe it was over Skype or Zoom or whatever. I mean, I think they probably met with him at the combine, but he looks you in the eye and says, "I am a Bears fan. I have been a Bears fan since as long as I can remember. It would be my absolute dream to play for the Bears." But then you go, "No, but Alberto ran a faster 40 time and his hips are looser." You're a fucking idiot. Like, if you like, you know what I mean? Because there's more to building a football team than a rat score.
I think that's sweetened the deal, but I don't think they reached on Kmet. I don't.
I'm not saying they reached on Kmet.
No, but I think the feeling is out there that, there's such a gap between the two tight ends drafted. It's like, okay, I mean, there's Twitter and then there's like actual 80% of the fan, 90% of the fan
merely posed the question because of the distance between the two picks.
Oh, no,
That's
that wasn't
a legit question.
It's just the way it fell.
It's not the way it fell. It wasn't a great tight end draft. 36 wide receivers got taken. Like 8 tight ends got taken. Like maybe 10. And no tight. And so it wasn't. But But the thing is, if one position is better, I mean, it's gonna definitely take draft picks from the other positions.
Here's the thing too. How many elite tight ends are there in the NFL?
Elite?
Yeah, like really, really good that you're worried about when you have the game plan against. There's not many.
5 or 6.
Exactly. These guys don't grow on trees, man. If you feel this is a guy and he's going to be the best player in that position, I just don't have a problem with it.
Do you draft with conviction, Diddy? Did you draft with conviction like Ryan?
And
But
I'm not mad about it. I wouldn't have been mad about KJ Hamler either, though. I think we improved these first 2 picks. We became a better football team from them.
Oh, I agree.
But again, I think that the risk is greater if you pass on Kmet for a number of reasons than if you take him and he doesn't pan out perfectly. Because, like I said, I think his ceiling is Kyle Rudolph and his floor is Zach Miller without the injuries. Either way, you put yourself into a great place of great improvement for the Bears. And sometimes
I'll go out on a limb. I think his ceiling's Witten.
I don't think that's a limb. I think that's legitimate. It's just going to be health. I mean, what Jason Witten
now or Jason Witten 10 years ago?
It's prime.
Okay.
He's talking the body of work, right? You're saying
just a solid, really solid career.
Well, which is like borderline Hall of Fame career, right?
Right.
I don't know if you can say that. You can't. It's all about injuries. I mean, the biggest.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if he stays healthy, yes, I think he's gonna have a hell of a career.
You look at the kid and you watch him play football, and if you sit there and you tell me you think he's trash, I don't get you. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're watching. Like, I mean, because here's the thing too, is that like people watch small school guys and they go, "Who are they playing against?" Okay, and then you watch guys on big talented programs and go, "Well, they're surrounded by talent." It's like you can't have it both ways. It's like, yeah, they're surrounded by talent, but they're also playing against the best talent like if a guy in the SEC
is going to take that first stiff arm to a defender, that first guy he bowls over and gets extra yardage, the whole thing's going to switch. Oh, this guy's a beast.
Let me tell you what. There is no problem with Kmet amongst the actual rank and file, not Twitter Bears fans. Every regular Bears fan, yes. Every regular Bears fan is like, cool. This is a guy we can root for a ton of reasons. A lot of Bears fans are also Notre Dame fans. A lot of Bears fans in the city of Chicago are also Notre Dame fans. The unrest about the Cole Kmet thing is so overhyped. Don't take Twitter as your temperature for this. No. Guarantee you that when a 45-minute long line of cars drove down his street in Arlington Heights, Those motherfuckers are not on Twitter, okay? That's families, and that's Bear fans, people that have like a Bears sweatshirt that's really old that they dry their car with. Like, this is the kind of Bears fans that I'm talking about. Not like, they don't buy the new draft hat every year. It's just Sunday, the Bears game is on. It's just part of their DNA. These people are all good with Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
And so that goes into it. And my point is that is okay. And my knee-jerk reaction was like, because you get caught up in all this stuff that you think is important when you're looking at these draft picks, but it is totally okay if you're the GM of a football team to draft a player based on that kind of stuff, as long as he's also a good player. Now, if you're drafting him just on the fact that he's like a hometown hero and he's not that good, and then you overdraft him, well, that's a different story. Well, I mean, by all accounts and by all indicators, this kid is all of that. So how do you pass on him? I mean,
Seems like a perfect marriage to me, man. Not like Jay Cutler's, but
right. So I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm good. I feel like he's going to be a solid football player. I feel like both 43 and 50 Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, we need to talk about Jalen Johnson. He does kind of concern me a little bit.
Does
two
he?
torn labrums in his college career. There's some tape where he gets beat pretty bad, but can recover.
Not as
pass
bad
rush
as
is going to be big
quarterback
for him.
early with bad hips.
Well, there's that. But I saw what Raul was talking about. He's like, he does get beat a lot off the line, which makes me wonder, does he slide into that safety spot? He's got the size. He's got
Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
No, man. I think if anything, this kid's gonna be the perfect replacement for Prince. Like he jams receivers. Yeah, man. He jams receivers.
I think Tolliver's gonna have a lot to say about that. A lot. And I think Tolliver gets first crack.
This was a guy that I think Matt Miller ended up saying that he's gonna end up being better than Kyle Fuller. Like, this is a kid that, like, he presses receivers. He was one of the best in the country, in my opinion, at defending the long ball. He was a first round. A lot of people had him going in the first round. He's a tough kid. He's physical. He
played the whole season with the torn labrum, actually.
He did. He's got really good instincts. The only knock I found on him, just kind of watching tape on him, was his hip turns kind of rough. But I think he's going to be a really, really, really good player. I think we got two very good players on the first two picks here. I think this is a kid that's going to come in and compete to start.
And the thing that I actually like the best about him is that now he's coming in with, like, he mad because he feels slighted that he slid that far, and that's a good thing. Like, I would much rather have that guy than Jeffrey Okudah, who thinks he's the big bad Ohio State number 3 overall pick. My shit don't stink. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm coming in, I'm gonna replace Darius Slay, blah blah blah. That dude's gonna be humbled. I mean, you probably saw it, but there's an interview Jalen Johnson did with Steve Wyche, who's been on the Brawl Network more than a few times, and he asked him, he said, what NFL receiver are you most looking forward to facing? And he said Devontae Adams. Coincidentally, I mean, he wasn't, had no idea he was going to get drafted by the Bears. Obviously, I'm sure he thought he would go a lot sooner than 50. But I liked what he said. He wants the challenge. Like, he seems like a guy who, he had very thoughtful answers. He seemed like a guy who was, like, studying tape. He's sitting there wearing, like, a T-shirt with the Allen Iverson Slam magazine cover on it, where Allen's got the big afro. Like, I was just like, I looked at the kid, I was like, this kid seems like, like, different. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like I don't want to use the cliche student of the game, but he does seem like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of guys that just give you like a stock answer, like, oh, I just want to play against the best. I'm the best. I'm going to play against the best. I mean, he had a thoughtful answer. He said why.
Talked about his route running and
yeah, like, I mean, he had answers. Like, it wasn't just like, like you don't just, even if you've been well coached, by your agent to have answers for different things, you either know that stuff and it comes out easily or you don't. Like, it doesn't just roll off like that. And he clearly really thought about what he was saying and he believed it. And I was just like, oh, well, like, yeah, and similar to Fuller, who's a notorious just like studier of tape and, isn't on social media and, is like, I mean, that's great. I do agree with you, Jared, that I think Tolliver is going to have every chance to win the job. But the thing that I am happy about this draft is that our two of our biggest areas of depth issue were tight end and corner. And I think both of those have been pretty well addressed.
Kendall Vildor.
Yeah.
Captain at Georgia Southern. I actually watched that kid play versus IU. He's pretty good.
That's been a couple of years ago. That seems like a dog. Like, I mean,
he's a hard hitter. I do like that about him.
Like he wants to get his nose in there. He seems like a leader on defense. He seems like he's just got that
wore
energy.
The C. He wear the C.
Right, and as a cornerback too, it's not often that a cornerback is a captain, right? Mean, just because you're out there on the edge, it's not always the best place to be a vocal leader, just from just from a physical standpoint. So I think that's
and when he stepped up against big competition, like they played LSU, they played Clemson. I think it's a game in 2018. Pace was saying that he really got on their radar.
Right.
But he's a kid that he's a competitor. And the thing that I kind of like is he could play on the outside or he could play inside at nickel.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are comparing him to Buster Screen, and I've read a couple of analysis of the draft where they're basically saying like, we're filling needs for now, but we're also thinking ahead. Like Cole Kmet is going to be the tight end of the future. He will probably replace Jimmy Graham. Jalen Johnson could conceivably be a guy that ends up replacing Kyle Fuller. Vildor can be the guy who replaces Buster Screen. So I mean, again, I would be lying to you if I said I'd ever heard that name before. Before he was drafted, I've absolutely never heard of him. Shout out to the draft Twitter people that are like amazing with pulling up video on these guys like right away and really do the research. One of the guys that I follow, Jacob Infante, is awesome at it. Like every time drafts come up, he has the material.
Yeah. I mean, he was putting stuff out there about Latavius Mack today. Ladarius, sorry.
Listen, I mean, some of these guys are, part of the PR machine, but all I'm saying is that, like, within seconds of these guys drafted, they've got threads popping off with, film, like, and it's cool. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to say these guys are geniuses, but I mean, you look at a guy like Matt Miller and some of these other guys. That's how they started. I mean, that's how and you could say what you want about them, but at the end of the day, like they make a living, doing that, and it started out by being the grinder, of tape, back in the day. Now it's a lot easier for people to do it now than it was back then. But anyway, that's my point, is just that I thought it was cool. Like it was like, wow, like you really, as soon as these guys are drafted, you really get to see about them, right away.
It seems like nationally the national writers really dug what we did as far as drafting. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, there was some odd, like CBS, that Pete Prisco is always a is always a prick and hates the Bears, so he had a kind of a. Let me just say that like grading a draft is so stupid. I know it's like we're dying for content. Everybody wants to put out content, but it's like trying to put a letter grade on a draft like moments after it happens when you don't even know like who's going to actually make the team, and it's just so dumb.
Right.
I mean, you can have your opinions about guys and whatever, but like. I just like to put a letter grade on it. I mean, I think it's sort of fun to do, and I said B minus just because I feel like, I don't look at any of these guys and go, oh, that's bad. Like,
I gave it a B plus just because, and like you said, it's kind of stupid to grade a draft and this close to. You need to see how these guys pan out, but the fact I thought Pace showed a little growth because he took two guys right off the rip
and he didn't trade up.
Exactly. He
stayed
till later, right?
He stayed patient in the beginning and took two guys that can contribute immediately. And then, he did those things that he would usually do in the first round, like Travis Gibson, guy with a lot of potential, Leonard Floyd type of guy.
How many guys from Tulsa got drafted in this draft? I was like,
yeah, no, but what, like, sorry. No. All I'm saying is like this is a guy that Pace would take in the first round. Previously, and he kind of waited. I don't care that he gave up the fourth round pick, whatever, but we'll see how this kid plays out. I'm okay with that that late. Do you know what I mean? I think I just think he showed a little growth. He stayed patient. He stayed at 43 and 50 when I didn't think he would. So I think
that was white knuckle too. Like, I mean, that was crazy watching Fromm fall, and I just thought, oh crap! Like, here we go, Fromm. We're gonna get Fromm. Like, because I said if he gets past the Patriots, whatever they were at, 40 or 49, it was like Fromm City, and we didn't. I mean, like that drafting Fromm was like a Pace move that he would have made a year or two ago.
When I saw Hurts sitting there in the second, I'm like, oh, that'd be nice to have him. But is this really the year to bring a rookie in to develop when you got two veterans going out of competition? Like, it doesn't really make much sense. Like, I think that you'll see that rookie brought in next year. See how this competition plays out.
We pushed that narrative a little bit too. We were like, oh, Hurts, and we liked him a lot.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
The bottom line, the mistake would have been that we would have had to fill other holes, and we did not have the draft capital to do it. We just didn't.
Right.
And the move of Mooney too late. Like, I'm like, okay, we got our burner, we got our Taylor Gabriel replacement potentially.
Right, and that was like the thing that I think shut Bears Twitter up when he took Mooney, because everybody, like, especially amongst our crew and the Bears podcasts on the network, were clamoring for Hamler, and then when they didn't get Hamler, that was part of why they were pissed. And it was kind of funny how it went, because like really right after Kmet went,
Hamler went to Denver.
Hamler, and then the Delpit went, and Mims and Antoine Winfield, and there were so many people who were mocking and hoping for all of those guys to go there. To me, I don't know, maybe like
Mad about not being right more than anything.
Absolutely. But for me, maybe like 3 or 4 days before the draft, I had this moment of clarity where I was just like, we do not need one of these safeties. Like, we have a far greater need at cornerback than safety. Like, Deion Bush is not that bad of a player. I know he's not that great, but again, and Lesser Wilfong had a great tweet today where it was like, last year Bears fans were like,
I saw that.
Safety's the worst player on our defense. It doesn't matter at all. And this year, Bears fans are like, we screwed everything up by not taking a strong safety. Like, it's the most important thing. It's like we just got this idea that it would just be such an amazing thing to have like this safety duo. And it's just like, yeah, that's cool. But again, I would rather have a badass tight end than a safety, like a strong safety. Like at the end of the day, if you're strong safety is making a bunch of big plays, your defense might not be that good. Like the best strong safeties don't have their names called very much because the defensive line, is doing their job, like, and getting to the quarterback
That's
and
a big part of it.
stopping the running back. So I'm not that. I just like if 3 or 4 days before the draft, I was just kind of like, as much as you watch a player like Winfield and Delpit, whatever. I never really loved him that much, but like you watch those guys and you go, wow, these guys are exciting. Jeremy Chinn's exciting. Cool looking athlete, roams around and whatever. It's like, what does that really solve, slotting in there right then? And then they re-signed Sherrick, and I mean, I think there's a very good chance that they could sign Tony Jefferson. That there's the way that it works is that after tomorrow at 4:00, then they can start signing free agents that won't count against the, and Jefferson wouldn't anyway because he was cut, but there's going to be a lot of free agent signings that get announced tomorrow after 4:00 because the comp pick equation falls out after that. Yeah, however comp picks works, which is a great mystery, even the teams don't totally understand. But
basically, the second wave.
Yeah, the second wave of free agent signings that won't affect comp picks. So I think there's a decent chance that they still sign a Tony Jefferson or a safety, and then for whatever reason, the Seahawks are like cutting all their offensive linemen right now. Apparently, they cut their. Yeah, that's true. They cut their center and they cut the big kid from Alabama. I can't think of his name right now, but so that's kind of interesting. But then, like I said, the Mooney pick really kind of shut up everybody because it was like, there you go. He moved up and it was like, oh shit, we're not done. Like right. We thought we were waiting till the 7th round. Boom, Pace is back on the board. And, here he comes for this burner. I mean, this kid is exciting.
It's just funny, too, because I remember certain Bears fans giving me shit when I said we should get Taylor Gabriel before we did because Taylor Gabriel's too short, but yet they don't need Viagra when it comes to KJ Hamler, who's only 2 inches taller.
I mean, it's all perception and groupthink.
But the thing that I do like about Mooney over Hamler was, you knew Hamler was just going to be a guy like a slot receiver. Right. This kid Mooney can play outside or inside. I think right. he plays just as fast as he runs, just like Hamler. It's a very similar player. He's actually taller, 5'10". I know he's got a thin build, but hopefully he can put on some weight without losing speed. But this kid could be just as lethal.
Do you think he takes over the role of Tariq Cohen in the offense?
No, I think he'll probably.
You wouldn't use him as a gadget speed guy off the edge.
So the one knock on him actually is he's not a special team guy. Like he doesn't contribute there. So like the whole gadget thing, like Tariq has that ability. He's not. I think you're just gonna either see I think it might be the solution at slot for us right now.
Personally, I hope that they don't do that with him, Jared, just because I felt like that's how a lot of the unnecessary punishment that Gabriel took happened. Was these double reverses and these wide receiver screens and stuff like that. I think a lot of that stuff got into the playbook basically because Mitch sucks.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
that. When you have to run those type of plays, that is done to force the ball into the hand of your skill position players because your quarterback can't get it there.
Boy, Mooney does remind me a lot of Gabriel, though, watching his tape.
Oh, yeah.
The high jump. I mean, it just looks, absolutely. It's like watching Taylor Gabriel, just skinnier.
Yeah. And I mean, not a ton skinnier, but yeah, he looks slight. I mean, that was what I was talking to Brian last night, was he looks, but really, I mean, if you're fast, it doesn't matter.
Well, the one thing I would say, like John Brown, about the same size out of college.
Right.
So,
right. I don't know what it is. He just struck me as like, maybe it's the white uniform, that he's wearing in some of the clips. I don't know. He looked small
He needs to work on route running, but he does fight for the ball. He will jump up and go for it.
Listen, if your get off is good and you can flat fly, I don't care what route you run.
Like in this offense,
you need run a straight fucking line. Yeah, but
you know the BS is going to go away when full starts.
Right, but think about, of course, all the excuse making that they were doing, like blaming the receivers for everything, I hope stops. You know,
has to.
Because I mean, are you telling me that what's his face in Kansas City, Tyreek Hill, is running some super sick, precise routes? No, he's just in the right place at the right time, and that's part of a route running, but it's not because he's
also like a quarterback.
It's also see the man, hit the man.
Well, more than, it's not just see the man, hit the man. It's more like know he's going to be where he's supposed to be and throw it to the spot. But I don't think that when you look at Hill, you look at, he got to that spot because of all these sick moves. Like, he's just faster than everybody else.
You can throw him open. There's an idea.
Yeah, and that's what, when you have a guy who has
Frozen. Let it go.
Like Elsa
and shit.
Here.
There. No.
Frozen in Chicago.
Frozen in the Windy City.
But I get what you're saying.
Thing. I mean, huh?
Oh, there he is.
He thought out.
Oh,
Froze for a while there. Yeah.
Oh,
Froze.
No,
It was beautiful.
I was just saying that. Did you hear me, or you couldn't hear me?
Couldn't hear a word you said.
Oh.
You were just saying,
I just said like.
And then...
Yeah, I was just saying that a guy if you're fast, you can just catch up to that ball. I mean,
yes. Absolutely.
You know, and if that's
and your quarterback can just wing it, dude. He can just wing it and be like, all right, there, I'm throwing it to that spot. Go get it.
Right.
Give the receiver a chance to make a play.
Right. So to me, it's like, again, I think route running it's nice, it's important. Like it's a great thing to say and sound like you're a smart draft analyst when you say it, you know. But again, it's like, well, you don't know what route they were supposed to be running, so how can you say that they did it well or not?
Right.
And you know, I mean,
in the
NFL
and subjective. This.
And I just think in the NFL, like, there's, you know, there aren't a lot of guys, like, what you think is open in college doesn't exist in the NFL. Like, guys are just not open like that.
If Foles wins this competition, which there should be no question, and hopefully we won't get bullshitted here, we're actually going to see the talent we have at the wide receiver group. I think Anthony Miller's talent is going to shine more. The guy has great footwork. We were all crazy about how good his footwork is out of college. This guy can get open.
Right.
Foles can hit an open receiver. Like, I think you're gonna start really being able to evaluate as a fan what we have. Like, we haven't really been able to. Like, Robinson with a veteran QB is gonna be better. I think Miller's gonna be better. I just think we're really gonna be able to see what we have. Cohen's gonna get hit correctly out of the backfield.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just gonna be an overall better team.
Well, let's give him some credit for going on both sides of the ball for this draft. Travis Gibson from Tulsa.
Yeah.
Long guy, long arms, good reach. Seems pretty quick off the line. He's not going to – I don't know where he's going to fit in that rotation. I think Roy Robb's got that on lock. Now, could he be the Roy Robb replacement? I don't know.
I think he's an outside linebacker.
Yeah, they said –
yeah.
Pace said that – Pace, I didn't listen to it, but I read about what he said. Pace said that they're going to play him outside a lot.
Good.
He was out of position in college. He's 6'4", 250. Yeah. He's long. Yeah.
He's really, like, what he is, I think, is somewhat of a replacement for the good things Floyd did.
That good edge
that could be.
Edge center, but
he's more aggressive than Floyd, which I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a project, but like everybody's saying, Quinn's going to be up front. Now you got to edge setter.
The NFL, this is what they said his strengths were. First step is long and explosive. Long-limbed frame can overwhelm lesser blockers. Flexible and athletic to wriggle around pass pro. Has tools for dangerous stab and run bull rush. Chip on shoulder matches passion in his play. Longest lateral slide you'll ever see. Able to stride through the gap, leaving tacklers behind. When he activates hands, they're quite violent. Reactive agility helps him track and tackle in space.
And he has many sack celebrations. He's throwing dice. He's doing. I was watching his tape, and it's like he's got a celebration for everything.
He's very similar to Floyd, but he's more aggressive.
He's got an attitude.
Yes.
He's got an obvious attitude.
He put on 60 pounds at Tulsa.
Good.
So was the only Division I offer he got. This kid, like AA said in that evaluation, there's a chip on this kid's shoulder. He's got a little nasty
transfer too, right? He went to Garden City U or something like that.
Oh, did he? I'm not sure about that.
I think I want to think they won a JUCO title. And I think they beat, if you watch Last Chance U, I think that team, he was on that team that won the last national. They beat whoever the feature team was in Kansas. So just a little something I might go back and just take a peek and see if I can peek him out on that.
Even like in his weaknesses, even his weaknesses are kind of pros. Like it says talented but still very raw. That's not really a weakness. Plays at full speed but technique is behind. Okay, so that's basically the same thing. He's raw.
He's a rookie.
But they also said he was out of position in college. So
right.
he might be able to pick outside
I
up
think
a little
he
quick.
can play, and just look at the depth chart. You look at OLB and you see behind, you see Isaiah Irving. So this is another need. I mean, and so I think,
And kudos for them for recognizing it and recognizing the need, because it's something that we really didn't talk a whole lot about whenever we were talking about draft. You got Mac, you went out and you got the the Quinn guy from Dallas. I mean, the last name like that, he's sure to suck.
I think he's. I don't, and I think the edge setting is a little overblown with Floyd too. We were talking about this last night. Like you got, when you have Quinn and Mac coming at you, there's not going to be you're not going to be trying to go to the edge. You're not going to have time.
The question I have with Quinn is if he has to be dropped into coverage, can he be as good as Floyd? And I think he can.
Why do you have to drop him in the coverage? Just send those.
They're going to have to. Can't blitz everybody all the time. Unless we're running old school 85.
I don't know. When they had Mathis and Freeney in Indianapolis, and I know maybe the defense wasn't the greatest, but those fucking guys, they was meet you at the quarterback every single time.
Sure.
And maybe the overall defensive statistics weren't that great, but you had a couple guys, there was 25 sacks between them, every year, and I think we have more talent behind them than that Indy defense did.
Hicks and Goldman, man.
And you're going to get Bilal Nichols healthy for a full season.
I hope so. I hope that was what the deal was with him. I hope that he just kind of got off track a little bit, because I'm going
to be coming too. We signed him for that year, and physically, the difference, it's kind of weird. You can see the difference between a guy that's been in the NFL for a year or two versus a guy that's coming out of college, with the exception of maybe a couple of people. I was looking at Gibson and thinking about Roy Robb, and it's just God, Roy Robb is such a bigger, bulkier dude, he just defined.
Well, and you got to give Pace credit for Roy Robertson Harris at UTEP. Yes. I mean, that's a find. Unfortunately, it's a find you need to make because you missed maybe on Bullard, but whatever.
Correct.
I mean, it's going to go. It's 50-50. You're going to miss on half of these guys. And as I've said before, no matter how good they are, nobody knows what happens when you get to camp and you meet a dude who was also the best player on their high school football team and who was also the best player on their college football team and who is now playing against you for their family to eat.
Yep.
Everything changes. It's not like it's all the college like rah shit goes out the window, and it becomes real at that moment. And if you can't deal with that mentally, I mean, I think a lot of guys just crumble under the weight of that, and then
that's a concern I have with Komet. I hope he can. No, don't give me that look. I see the look. He's got family pressure. He's got a town pressure that's on him now.
He already did it at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame ain't the fucking Bears, dude.
Notre Dame's it's still a pretty high pressure place. You're still a hometown. Sure. You're still a kid from Chicago playing it.
I'm just saying,
it's similar.
It's not the same, but yeah, it's.
He's on the national stage every week. It's a spotlight.
I would say with him, I don't know that the pressure's as great on him as somebody else. You know what I mean? Like I know
you didn't like to talk about it too much, but this was a kid that the White Sox wanted to draft. Like he's been in the line. He's played college baseball, college football. This at a major university. Like he's still in the spotlight. I don't know. I don't think pressure's gonna.
I'm just saying that is a dynamic that we have to take into account with him.
Absolutely, I think you have to take it into account with all these guys. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen when they start getting checks. You don't know what happens when all their family and friends get in their pockets and different kind of stuff. I mean, it just lot more.
Robocall don't care about that.
No, Robocall doesn't care. Robocall has prime directives. God damn it,
that's it.
He gives no fucks.
No, but honestly, like I do think that this kid's makeup seems to be pretty strong in that regard. Like I don't think he's gonna be afraid of any of this. And I do think that's where playing at Notre Dame does matter because, I mean, playing at that stadium on NBC every single Saturday.
We've got a network.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily – I don't know that it's like insane pressure, but it's very high profile.
Like, absolutely.
And so I think –
you can watch them lose to Georgia every year on NBC.
Well, it's just, but I think he's already but he is already familiar when you play for Notre Dame or Alabama or for one of these. You're familiar with the process of you play a game and then it gets absolutely ripped apart. What you do gets ripped apart by reporters, by fans, by Twitter, by every single thing in a way that it doesn't happen at Tulsa. Okay, like. Sure. After your game on Saturday at Tulsa, like very few people give a fuck. Notre Dame football gets analyzed just like Bears football, play by play, minute to minute. And so I think that way that does prepare him. Now, I wouldn't compare the pressure.
Can have him in bars on the O-line some plays. Yeah, buddy.
What are they gonna like?
We're not
I don't know what they.
I want to ask you guys this question.
You know what's next? McGlinchey's gonna come because those two are there, and then Q's gonna come right after that. It's gonna be glorious.
Saint the Patriots.
I mean, it must. I understand why. Yeah, it must. Your stomach for losing as a Bears fan prepares you for rooting for Notre Dame. So. You have a high level of fortitude when it comes to watching teams that get smoke blown up their ass and then underperform.
At what point did Ryan Pace kind of quiet you down in the draft when it was just like, oh wow,
first pick?
Well, obviously.
See, that got me going. I would say the Jalen Johnson pick because. To me, I feel like that was a big sign of restraint.
Yeah, I agree with that. My point is going to be, I'm still skeptical about a lot of the other guys, but those 7th-round linemen, I was like, okay, there's something to this. So I started like digging back on it. It's like,
Oh yeah.
I
I just saw 600 pounds of meat. I'm like, all right, I'm okay with it. Hopefully one of them pans
no
out. I
pause
didn't
for
really
that.
dig into him.
He gets
What'd you
no pause.
No, it's straight ahead brisket.
Yeah.
Ham and pig, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Ham and pig, and I
What'd you
like
see in these
ham.
guys? Yeah.
Love him. Watch some of his stuff out of Colorado. He's going to compete for that guard spot. I really believe it. He's got good feet. He's got decent reach. He pulls left and right really well. Leads the hole well. Pause. And I'm just telling you, that kid has got potential. He's going to push for that starting guard spot. And your boy, Alex Bars, is going to be pushing for a ticket in the menu line.
Well, I think our Bars, ideally what he would become that swing tackle. I mean, although Hambright has played tackle, right?
Yeah, Hambright was the left tackle at Colorado. But if you watch him, he collapses holes, makes holes for his running back. When they needed, what game was it I watched? It was Washington, against Washington. When they needed yardage to get a first down, they ran behind him, and he provided it. And I think there's a lot, like I said, his feet. The one thing I will say is that he gets a little off balance a little bit. It's like he's leaning too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll have to watch that. But those guards that are vying for that starting spot, they just got a lot more competition. A lot more.
Yeah, I mean, he looks, like I said, I only watched a little bit of it, but
Yeah, exactly. I've only seen a little bit.
He looks like a guy who likes to block.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's just the biggest guy, so he ended up playing offensive line, which is sometimes happens. I mean, sometimes these guys are just the biggest fucking dude, and they keep on being the biggest dude, and then the next thing you know, they're,
situation drives position a lot of
right,
times.
right.
Sure.
So, like, I feel like you watch him and it's like, no, this guy's seeking. Like seeks, he looks to finish guys, and then when he's done with one, he wants another one.
Yes.
And I mean, that's what we need. That's what we're missing, I feel like.
Yeah, I haven't watched much on Pig, but I've watched a little bit on Ham, and I'm like, ooh, I'm really excited about his potential. Another 7th round late offensive line pick that could really work out for us, so.
Right, and I mean, Colorado plays some teams. I mean, they're,
Pac-12.
Don't write Bars off just yet. Don't write them off just yet. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm not writing Bars off. I'm not doing that. That's just Jared's anti-Notre Dame bias. But
writing them off. Can't even get on the field when his coach is there.
I thought it was funny that out of the blue, Charles Leno breaks his Twitter silence to congratulate these guys. Like, hey, welcome to the team, guys.
Okay,
and it was kind
Cap.
of,
yeah.
Like, it was just like, really? Oh, you are paying attention. Interesting. You just watched your replacements get drafted. Where's Mr. Big Pants Massey or whatever his Twitter handle is, Mr. Big Stuff, or because they got hit. I think those guys, the writing's on the wall a little bit, right?
Could be potentially. I don't know about Lacavius. Yeah, but
right.
Big. I don't know about that kid yet. I know I've talked to a couple of people that seem like they're pretty high up on him. Seeing some of his tape, I've not watched it. So, what little highlights I've seen, it's kind of slow for me. But I could be very wrong. I mean, it was just literally a shitty highlight reel, 1 minute. So you can't really judge a lot off of that.
I mean, I think it's hard to tell, Tennessee State, like, I mean, they played a couple games. I was just thinking, like, Brian was talking about Darnell Mooney. you watch these college football games and you're like, oh, what the hell is LSU playing, whoever for, like
Ticket sales, money.
yeah, the university makes its money, but what I think the good byproduct of that is that's how these other players get seen.
Yep.
So they might have put on the tape looking for Grant Delpit, and Darnell Mooney jumps off the tape, right?
Right.
Because they played too
Well,
late.
I can give you a prime example. I watched the national championship game a few years back after we drafted Grossu and Goldman just to see how those two fought against each other. That's some damn good tape, boys. You ever watch that? That Florida State-Oregon game? Those two battled, and Grossu won a good majority of it. But just to go to your point, exactly, that's why you watch tape. That's why you want to see if they play if a small school plays a big school, how does that kid play against them? And that's sometimes it's the only way you can get any kind of reference on them.
Right. So as far as the rest of the draft, like I said, I think both a lot of boxes were checked. I mean, that's all I'm going to say is that, it's you really have to work to be upset about this draft. You really have to find. I
gave it a C+, man.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, because we didn't get a quarterback and we didn't address the running back room.
I don't think we have enough time to develop a rookie in this current situation. Anyway, I think it's a lost year.
Alex or Andrew Gordon or whatever his name is, the Gordon kid was there.
Him. He went undrafted.
I know, but we could have put him in our UDFAs. And
apparently they were interested in that DiNucci guy that the Cowboys ended up drafting. There was also some rumor that they were kind of interested in Luton. I think they made some UDFA offers.
I think the UDFA things, back to the story, the nice story. I mean, how many UDFA quarterbacks actually do anything? Honestly.
No, they should just have 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, a lot of people think the UDFA thing is garbage.
Like, you could get some nice practice squad guys. You fall in love with a guy, ends up on Pittsburgh last year. And then the wide receiver we got ended up in Tampa. I'm
not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna pretend to know anything about the UDFA's. We did get the alignment from LSU, off of UDFA. We did get a big ass receiver / tight end from Kentucky.
Ahmad Wagner, very raw.
Yeah.
6'5". We got a running back from Oregon State who looks okay.
Is it Oregon or Arizona State?
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Oh, we're ramming our beaver. Nice.
I do like him. He actually can take it to the house. He can break tackles with linebackers. The vision's not that great, but I think he could definitely crack the roster.
I think he's already got
an offensive lineman from Yale.
Jackie Slater spoke very highly on that kid, I guess.
Well, that's a good voice to have in your corner.
Yeah,
Slater was a beast for the Rams.
Yeah.
There's another guy too from Buffalo. God, where's 52?
Mini Mac, mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Remember Casey Urlacher?
No.
You don't? When they brought Urlacher's
I do,
in?
but it was me being silly.
Looked just like a littler version of Urlacher.
Casey Urlacher's in jail, isn't he, right now? Or almost in jail?
Damn.
He's the mayor of a suburban town out here. Oh,
that's right. And he got yoked up in a gambling ring or something?
There was some conspiracy theorist that when Urlacher was at the White House that he was trying to talk to Trump about getting a pardon or something for his brother. Because Casey got himself in a little. Well, he's an Illinois politician, so that's corruption. That's corruption incorporated, basically. So, that is what it is. But yeah, back to
I think Mac's better than Urlacher's brother, but
absolutely.
I just don't. I was more excited about
what
Chuck
if he
Harris
makes
out
this
of Buffalo
roster
last year.
What if he makes the roster?
I don't see it, but I think that you remember how me and AA really liked Chuck Harris out of the University of Buffalo last year, defensive end. I think he was a better prospect than Ladarius. I think I went back and watched Max actual Khalil's Buffalo tape, and then I watched Ladarius. It's not even whole nother
No,
world.
of course it's not. It's a
You know what I mean?
different person, different body.
He
Right,
seems.
well, you're talking about a number 5 overall pick versus a UDFA who barely has played football.
Yeah, I think it's nice. It's a nice story, and I think the Bears media will eat it up.
Who was it? Vince said. Mac went to Ryan and said, "Hey, get my brother."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately
I was like,
signed
yes,
for
sir.
Well, that's what Mac.
Yes, sir.
That's what Mac did to get him in Buffalo. He was
Right,
playing
like, oh, man.
JUCO basketball or something.
Oh man, this is my brother. This is my brother Ladarius. My brother Ladarius want to be a Bear. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Khalil.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes,
that's what he
sir.
said at the University of Buffalo. He's like, my brother didn't even play high school football. He just played basketball. He played JUCO basketball. He wasn't playing Buffalo. Okay, Khalil.
That's pretty impressive. If he's playing football at a college level and not played it at a high school level,
I
it
mean, he
speaks to a
looks,
little bit of athleticism.
he looks like an athlete. I don't.
Yeah.
Looks like. I mean, you know, it
It makes for a good story.
And as I said, I think he has a good chance to be better than Josh Woods. Like, I mean, Josh Woods made this roster, and that guy
Play middle linebacker more than anything. Like in the
cool. I think we need that.
Yep.
I mean, I wanted the kid from that Jack Quarterman kid from Miami, and somebody swooped him, which I was like, damn, I would have liked to, get a guy that just is a tackler,
Everybody knew Khalil Mack's brother was there, though. If this kid was really, really
good. Absolutely. I don't think that he wasn't talented enough to be drafted. I don't
Even
think
with that name.
Put enough on tape. And this is kind of funny because there's a lot of this is a year, and it's going to keep going like this. But this is a year where it's a lot of sons of former players, and like it just and that keeps going. It's like the older we get, I'm sure that happens more and more. Yeah. But you saw, and they even brought up like, I mean, I guess Cole Kmet's dad played
for Purdue, defensive end. His brother his uncle played for Houston for years, offensive lineman, I believe.
But his dad was on the Bears, I believe, briefly. Frank Kmet. They were talking. Larry Mayer had something he was talking about.
Was he? I know he played defensive end at Purdue.
No, I believe.
No, you're right. He was a lineman for the Bears for like a year or two.
Yeah.
His father?
Yep.
I believe so.
As we go look for it.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
But yeah, he was on the Bears. We know that. It is stated fact.
Nice.
And I think Adam Johns immediately roasted him for being old.
Larry Mayer said, from the Small World file, I live 5 minutes from Bears top pick Cole Kmet. I covered his dad, Frank, when he was with the Bears in 1993, and Cole's grandfather, Dave, was my high school gym teacher at Niles North. So there's lunch with Larry.
There you go.
But, yeah, I guess Frank Kmet was on the Bears.
Prepare for the fluff pieces, Diddy.
Well, I mean, they made them about Dax Raymond. So
I think when you get over the fact that he was from Notre Dame.
Hey, man, I don't care.
You to be a fan.
I'll be a fan as long as he produces.
Exactly.
But I'll laugh if the Kentucky kid beats him out. I'm just going to say it.
No. God, no. Wagner? No. He's going to be a practice squad guy.
I'm glad that they've taken the kicker competition approach to tight end, I guess. Next year it'll be quarterback. There'll be 8 of them in.
Yeah, I mean we'll definitely have definitely next
QB
week.
death match.
We'll have more of a clear picture of all the UDFAs, so we'll be able to kind of just chop into that a little bit more. I mean, we kind of liked a couple guys that they brought in last year. All the hype, and it was the best UDFA class the Bears had.
I'm not doing that this year. I'm not hitching my start in any of these broke ass wagons.
What's the one thing that you took away from the draft as a whole, as far as like The one thing I learned was that, the offensive linemen were way overvalued. People had their mocks, and the mocks pushed them up way higher than any of them actually went, with the exception of Runyon, who actually went higher than I thought he was going to.
I think it was a tough draft to mock anyway because of all the limitations of how everything changed. I think.
Yeah.
There weren't as many trades. The guys didn't get the in-person visits, and I think that makes a little bit of a difference. Last minute doctor stuff makes guys fall. I just think that, like, what I took out of it is that we needed this. It was cool to see how resilient we can be when we have to face this kind of adversity, just as a country. Like what the NFL did. It was really cool that they continued. To me, it was inspirational in the sense that we're trying to keep things as normal as possible with our limitations, and this is what can be done when people come together and try to.
Do you think this could be the future of the draft? Do you think this could be the future of the draft?
No, there's too much money for the cities that host it, and the NFL.
Yeah, but I mean, when let's start to look at the economics, because I guarantee you this draft costs a lot less money to put on. Now, I don't think it's ever gonna be with all the talking heads not in the studio, but it costs a whole lot less money to go have a little camera set up in 50 or 75 prospects' houses than it does to fly these people out there and set up this big show. And I mean, I would be surprised if the NFL actually makes a ton of money on the actual event.
No, I'm talking about this actual city that hosts it, though. It's big for them. It's a big economy. It is their economy.
Well, and Goodell made an announcement that it's going to be in Vegas next year.
No,
as a consolation prize.
No, I think it's 2 years from now. The next 2 years are locked. I thought it was 2 years. I don't know, but I know they have the next 3 drafts are locked where they're going to be. I think it's like one of the cities is Cleveland. I'm like, why? But it's also good for the fan experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are going to be elements of this that yes will change.
I will say this.
I think you are going to see more. I think you're going to see more cameras in homes, because I think that is something that people liked about this. It kept people watching, getting to see the living rooms, getting to see them, because people are a lot more comfortable sitting in their living room and, jumping up and down and than they would be in a theater. And, you can have a lot more of that. And I think that the drama sold of it. I think ESPN did a kind of a weird thing where it seemed like they dug up. They seem to feel the need to dig up a piece of sad history on all of them, and I guess a lot of them.
This guy's mom was a drug addict.
Right, it's just like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Whoa, why do we need to know that? That's not necessary. A lot of these guys did have inspirational stories about, parents passing and this, that, and the other, but it's little stuff like that. It was just you don't have to click on the controversy tab on the Wikipedia page.
There's some funny stuff too, though. I think it was at Eason's house. It must have been his brother or something. Comes out of the back room, putting a shirt on. His girl's fixing her hair. I'm like, huh, okay.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was seeing all the coaches was awesome. Vrabel and his weird kids, and
Belichick
all the
not giving a shit and feeding his dog right at the table.
Weird Nantucket house and putting his dog at the table, and then Cliff Kingsbury in his super pimped out house, looking like he's on the set of Ballers or whatever. And I just think
hey, Cliff, it's time to come to bed.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to judge it because we're so starved for anything. So I think in some ways.
I think the coolest thing was, and the NFL could sell it to really hard, is the family aspect.
Right.
How many people were there with their families and just.
I think that's something they'll keep. I would think that they'll still be the top 32. The first night of the draft, I think will be very similar, but I think what you're going to see is the second through seventh round is going to look a lot more like what we saw.
Roger Goodell's going to have to get on the juice or something, man, because he was fading.
Yeah, but
that's the thing that they can't do. Was normally he wouldn't have said all those picks. They would have had the honorary team members announce them, but they couldn't. That was just too much.
This was big for the sports fans. It was big for the sports networks. Do you know what I mean? It's a really. I just think it's really awesome that they were able to pull this off, and I think they did a hell of a job. All things considered.
Yeah, and you know, I think they're getting better at doing this. I mean, you see how people are kind of having to learn how to navigate this technology. You know, so
and I think if the way these teams drafted ends up being fine, and they feel like it's like you said, we don't know how life's going to be after this thing's over.
Sure.
So with restrictions and the travel and all that stuff, like these meetings may not have to happen in person to check out these prospects. Maybe there will be more of the phone stuff, and that side of it may change. There could be some change from this. I agree with you on that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think as you go, there's a lot of people I've already heard that the move to work from home, they feel like maybe something that is somewhat permanent after this, because companies are realizing, wait,
we don't need all you people in
why
here now.
Do you all come to this building? Why do we pay all this money, for rent for this office and all this crap? You know what I mean? And what's cool about that for somebody is that if you work from home, all your shit is, you get to write it all off.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I use my internet, the computer, like the cable, like everything. When you work from home, you write everything off. So, I mean, that's cool. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, obviously we needed it. We needed something to freaking watch.
Definitely.
And it was cool. I think that probably the only people that didn't enjoy the draft were the Packers fans and the Patriots fans. And so to me, that only makes it more enjoyable.
We got to talk about this Packer draft.
Yes.
How you feel? How you feeling over there, Aaron Rodgers? Yikes.
That's gonna cause some bullshit. I mean, they've never given him a first round skill position player. That's just insane.
36 wide receivers were taken in this draft, and not a single one was taken by the Green Bay Packers.
That's surprising.
And Devin Funchess, sure they have Devontae Adams. He's top 5 receiver in the league. Great.
I mean, they've never really been able to get the tight end position quite right either.
No, they can't get they haven't had it. We've talked about it in the show. They haven't had a great tight end since, Jermichael Finley. I mean, I don't know if he's great, but
Chimera maybe.
He's
Finley's
after Chimera.
Yeah.
Finley crossed over with a Rodgers.
No, I know. I'm just saying Chewy was the last guy that I thought was.
Oh, he was really good. Bubba Franks, Chimera.
Who's the guy that's at Oakland now? Or not Oakland, but he had a hell of a year. You know what I'm talking
Jared
about.
Cook.
Jared Cook. Yeah. Cook had a good year.
Right. But he was supposed to. I mean, they've had a parade of guys who were supposed to be the next guy. But Rodgers doesn't really, I don't know. He doesn't really utilize the tight end that much. So, yeah, I mean, the Love pick to trade up.
Danica.
To trade up to get Love is really something. I
really hope that they miss on him.
Even if they don't, it's bizarre because the way that Aaron Rodgers' contract is, they are screwed. I mean, so let's say
for 2 years.
They're screwed for longer than that. 2022, they cut him. Okay, they are on the hook for $17 million in dead cap in 2022.
I believe even if they let Love
$2 million, but they are going to, you have to get Love in there. He's got to play.
He's only 21, so even if they let him sit for 3 years, He'll be 24.
Yeah, but then he's going to get to his 5th year, and you're not even going to know what you have. Like, it's not like Rodgers sitting behind Favre. That was different. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I just think it's weird. If you're Rodgers, I don't know how do you not feel like what the fuck about it?
Well, Wilbon said he sees him ending up on the Bears in the next couple of years.
There won't be a direct line because even Favre he couldn't take a direct line. He had to go to the Jets first.
Right. I mean, the Packers would never trade him to the Bears. Like, never. Not even with their no owner shit. Like, they would never do that. So it would have to be, something else. But I mean, like I think we were saying last night, would you be cool with it? Yes, absolutely. Like, I mean, kidding me? We'd take him in a
Packers fans probably take it a lot harder too because they're paper owners.
Right, that's true. Yeah, they really own paper.
Yeah. Hey, in times like this, paper is essential. And if you really need to wipe your ass, you've got something worth wiping your ass.
Yes, Packer fans, donate your paper that says you own the team for people that come, so that we can wipe our asses with it.
They had some weird ass picks.
I'm always leery of picking on them about their draft picks because
they don't draft that great.
Yeah, but
they've done better with Gutekunst than they have in the past.
Yeah.
I just like.
Who do you think had the best draft? If you're just kind of looking at an eyeball on it, just like, wow, they really fucking murdered it.
Denver got pretty explosive.
Yeah, I like Denver's picks. I think that the Rams did really well.
The Ravens.
I like their draft a lot. The Ravens are like, I mean, the Ravens just have a clinic.
Seattle drafts pretty well, too.
Except for linemen.
Yeah.
As they're all leaving now and becoming fodder.
I think Detroit did some decent things, too.
Yeah, I have to admit, I think Detroit made some nice picks. They got Swift. They picked up Okudah. I mean, ultimately, Okudah's just replacing Slay, but so I think
they're pushing that running back room too.
Well, I mean, you've got to. I mean, they are with running backs what we are with tight ends. They cannot find a running back. They have not, even when they find one, then he gets hurt. So
Minnesota had a shit ton of picks. What, 15? 15 draft picks.
So many picks they were trading them to us.
No.
Like, you don't usually see that happen in the division.
No,
I was surprised.
I think they made nice picks. I think they had a decent draft. Again, I think they're replacing formerly very
very productive players.
So it's I don't know if they net got better for next season. I mean,
they didn't draft anybody from Notre Dame, did they?
I don't think that they did. Notre Dame had five players drafted. LSU by far I think they had 14 players drafted. Like basically the entire starting offense was drafted. I will say one of the sneaky picks that I thought is going to be pretty sick is that Edwards-Helaire going to the Chiefs. That was we talked about that on our Zoom thing like that,
which was fun, by the way.
That was fun. Yeah, that was fun. That's the good thing. I don't know what is he
doing?
He's finding it. finding a tailgate.
Oh.
He wants to be in a tailgate.
That's overplayed.
But Justin Jefferson's good from LSU. The Vikings got Gladney. A lot of people were talking crap about the Ezra Cleveland pick, but whatever. I don't know what that means. I don't know anything about that Wanham guy, but I was just looking up his draft scout notes, and that didn't really look that interesting. Like, I would say they got a lot of guys. I don't know if any of them are that great. I mean, other than the first few. I just think, like, remember that when we were talking about freaking the kicker from the Patriots? I mean, how about that draft pick? This guy's got
The one that went before Jake Fromm.
Yes.
Talking about kickers now, man.
But that is freaking so out of left field. The Patriots draft was so bizarre. Like, they just, it was like, and then the Bills just like, oh yeah, we'll just take a few tight ends now, and just so random. Like, Kyle Duggar, they traded back like 3 times.
Was that one of the Duggars from like the 20 Kids and Counting Duggars?
No.
Oh.
Some small school safety. I mean, Bears fans were talking about him. I don't really know.
I know.
I don't really know much about him. I mean, 2 tight ends, a CC and Keen, like who? I don't know. A couple of guards. Like,
it's all over the place.
It's super random. And then this kicker who's got like white power tattoos. It's just like, what is happening? I don't know. Like Belichick might be slipping. He looks like he's ready to retire to his little house in Nantucket and like chill with his girlfriend and his dog.
The dog probably put the pick in.
Life ain't so sweet without Tommy Boy and Gronk.
Yeah, Gronk got traded for a 4th. Hey, that's pretty, good move by them for getting something out of a guy that was basically going to be retired. So
you were gonna have to pay him $10 million.
Oh yeah, bye.
You know what I mean? Like, they got a draft pick and they got to unload that.
I would say also that the Raiders draft was kind of suspect.
They went speed early and often.
Right, but then you take the second corner, Damon Arnett, in the first round, number 19 overall. Like, that was random as hell. I mean,
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We got to wait till these guys get on the field.
Yeah, I just think it was random. It was a name that nobody was expecting there. Like, and I mean, obviously they saw what they saw. I'm not going to, sit here and.
That draft expert Mayock, though, man, you can't question that.
Yeah, right. I just thought it was random. I mean, and of course everybody wants to stack up the Mac trade, and it doesn't. It looks a lot better on paper for us.
Yeah.
And I think it always did. I mean, I don't think they were gonna. I mean, you trade a future Hall of Famer, it's kind of gonna be lopsided in your favor. But yeah, I mean, I just I don't see how you're sitting there as a Packer fan and you can even spin this as as so amazing. I mean, they ended up taking Runyon.
Maybe we should put a phone call into our buddy Dusty.
Yeah, well, I saw him on Twitter. He was definitely having some pretty visceral reactions to stuff, so it'd be interesting to see.
He also said he wanted Taylor Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gabriel is going to sign on Monday somewhere. If he's probably already signed, they just can't announce it.
I would say the Niners at this point.
I mean, the Niners end up sending. They required Marquise Lee, and then they sent him to the Eagles.
They got Trent Williams.
Yeah, how about that?
Staley's going to retire.
But they did draft Ayuk from Arizona State, so and they drafted Jawan Jennings in the 7th round. That's a pretty good pick in the 7th round.
Yeah, I just know Gabriel could step right in and pick up Shanahan's system, no problem. He played in Atlanta.
I agree. You said that before, and I think it was a good take then. I think it's a good take now. I'm just saying, based on their draft, I don't know if that seems as likely. Like, I would look for him. Like, the Packers
contracts have got to be something too.
Packers might make more sense at this point.
Ugh. That would be exactly what would happen.
I really think we end of the day.
Oh.
I think we got better with this draft.
Yeah,
I think we did too. I think
And that's not just cliche.
this might go
like,
down as
legitimately.
Pace's best draft.
Hey, I mean, less first round picks he has to mess up, the better, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
hate to agree with you.
Like,
but
I would love to, like, if you could make trades where you pick up players like Khalil Mack, I say trade your first round picks all the time.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. People who are actually trying to go back on that trade, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. We're good.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna like you have a sure thing for the next 5 to 7 years or a 50-50 shot. It's not even a question.
And pass
Like,
rusher. Pass rusher is one of the hardest things to gauge out of college. I mean, there's your guarantees, right? There's one in every draft, maybe, but like they're very hard to
right.
come by. An elite pass rusher, you take that shot when you got it.
Right, and even when they pan out, it doesn't necessarily equate to winning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you add an elite pass rusher to a bad team, it doesn't make you a good team.
Right.
Whereas if you trade first round picks to take a good team and add an elite pass rusher, that can take you over the hump. So it's almost like, you could argue one way or the other, but a lot of times, I don't think that Chase Young is going to turn the Redskins into a playoff team. I mean, I think Ron Rivera might, have something to say with that, but I'm just saying, like,
you got a Darius Geis that's going to be coming back off of yet another knee injury. It could be a team to watch out for in the East, but Dallas is going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, Dallas. I mean, their defense, I still think, I think they answered some questions with it, but I'm not, I'm not sold on their pass rush because they really haven't replaced Quinn.
I agree.
Think about that, man. Quinn and Mac. The defense, I'm really excited about. But I just don't know. I just don't know if we're being sold a bag of shit with this. The actual QB competition remains to be seen. I'm hoping Foles wins out.
Listen, as I was saying to you last night, we still don't need Foles to be amazing. We don't,
Oh no. I'm just saying is
right.
Is it really going to be a competition?
No, Foles is here to that's his job.
I hope so.
I don't think he came here to to not start. And even if Mitch ends up getting the start in the first game or something, I don't think he's going to hold it for long. And that might ultimately
I would be more confident in that. And I know, like I said, the way I justified it, it really isn't a good year to bring a rookie in. But if they did, then I definitely say, yes, this is Foles' job. But the fact that they didn't really bring anybody in, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm just pissed that I wanted to root for Jalen Hurts, but now he's on the Eagles, which makes it harder for me to do that.
Yep.
What did NFL Mems put out? Now their QB
Jalen Hurts
says Wentz hurts.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. I like that pick. I mean, I think Eagle fans are all freaking out about the Rager pick, and
They booed Donovan McNabb, man. That's
they're crazy. They make Bears fans look fucking completely sane.
Yeah.
Ouch.
They drafted McNabb, they were booing. It was just
yeah. I like the Hurts pick. I think he's going to be a good player, and I think they made a good pick. And if I was them, I would have picked a quarterback too, because you can't trust Wentz. I mean, how many times has he been hurt?
Yeah, but Hurts is also a guy you could bring in on just trick plays too.
Right.
Packages. So
you can do a lot with. You can do a lot with him.
I don't know.
We got better.
We did.
I really feel that.
Yeah.
Nagy's got too many damn play sheets. We learned that.
Yeah. Psycho.
Yeah, that wasn't weird.
That's weird. It's everything we talked about, though.
Can it pick me a bear? Can it pick me a bear?
It's him and his buddies up in the treehouse just drawing plays and making play sheets. It's everything we thought.
It's like, oh, that one right there. That's when I had Akeem.
That's when I had a 22-6 lead over the Tennessee Titans and blew it.
Yeah, what's crazy? That's what Mitch sees when his eyes close at night.
Oh
like,
my God.
like he sees like play sheets just like floating around and like they're everywhere and he can't. It's like, oh, play sheets. Like
Like
you
the Winnie
imagine
the
like
Pooh ride in Disney, like all
yeah,
trippy.
like
Wouldn't be the first
like
quarterback to say something like that.
Aggie brings Mitch over to his house and is like, "Oh, I got to show you my new office." And he brings him in, the lights off, and he turns on the light. All these play sheets, and Mitch is just like, "Oh!" Goes running, screaming from the house, jumps in the Camry, drives drives
Yeah,
back to.
I don't think Mitch would be very comfortable in that room.
Dude, who would? Like,
That's
like
a
it's like
weird space.
Hopefully it's like fathead stuff they could just peel off. They didn't like really go to work on that.
Oh, I bet that's.
No, I think that's like wallpapered.
You're as disgusted as you are disappointed, right?
But they did one of two things. They actually wallpapered the actual play cards to the wall, or they scanned them and they uploaded them to the wall to like the wallpaper design company, because you can design your own wallpaper now and custom order it. So you want, they could have wallpaper that looks like these backdrops or like whatever. So they could have done that. But my theory is that it's the actual play cards,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
which is creepier.
It's not out of a murder mystery.
It's not like you won the Super Bowl, dude. Like,
Laces out, Dan.
these are not the play cards from your triumphs. Like you got the play card from the Kansas City playoff game against Tennessee. Got that one. Got the play card from the Eagles game where you get the Saints game on there. Like, what are these cards? Like it's not. Like it's not like they're the lineup cards, from your World Series championships. Like I don't know, it's just it's weird. Like either his wife thought she did something amazing, but he's got a
Or
hard
she
on
could just
over.
be busting his balls.
Yeah, maybe.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like it's just
It's a weird flex, but
be obsessed.
That's pretty
be a
obsessive.
little less obsessed.
I thought the Bears had a new slogan, but it was just the draft had the slogan "Greatness is a choice."
Oh, chasing decent, huh?
Yeah.
You wonder if Nagy just uses it as a library.
Shirts on
Let me see
sale
what
now.
I did. Let's see the play that I chose then. Okay, I'll add this one in. Like,
Yeah, well, and but that's what it is. It's like every it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's pinning shit with thread. It's like I gotta keep this big on this card over here and this card, and if we had run this one over here, this would have worked. And this is a Parky card, and just throwing shit. It's like,
Parky.
Oh my god.
so that's it.
On that note,
It's all the news that's fit to print. There's really nothing else worth talking about other than that Jake Cutler got divorced, but who fucking cares?
oh, Nashville's gonna care.
Set up that anti-vax.
Nashville, watch out.
Go Cavalieri.
No, man, I feel bad for Jay. Single millionaire in Nashville.
Yeah, what's he gonna do? Oh no. It's pretty funny. Like they didn't spend that much time together, because she was super busy, and now they're forced to spend all this time together.
I'm saying if you are a lawyer and you just get you're gonna be making so much money on divorces after this.
He's gonna get paid. I mean, she's worth more than him right now.
I don't know about their net worth. I'm just saying in general, like divorce attorneys, like I'm talking like nationwide. Like,
For sure.
Shit's
People
real now.
realize
Like
they hate each other.
you can try to you
Stay
have those
thirsty, my
relationships.
friends.
Yeah,
Right.
people can avoid each other more.
But I'm
It's
saying
happening now.
he's gonna get paid like Adele's ex-husband. Like he's gonna be sitting pretty, like, because he hasn't made money in a long ass time. She's been cleaning up her stores and like her online shit. I mean, he talks about how well she's doing. He's gonna get.
Well, I mean, he invested in all that too.
Correct.
Mm.
But I mean, that's the reason that it was his money, his seed money. pause. That anyway, I just think it's funny. Honestly, I hope that it means, that
Isn't it bizarre that they put it out on Instagram though? It's just like,
no,
really?
that's the way of the world now. She communicates. She's on Instagram constantly.
But that's just, to me, is just, I don't know. You just don't.
When it was, I guess they were like trapped in Mexico with their hairstylist or something like.
Oh, I bet somebody was trapped in Mexico with a hairstylist.
I don't know. The whole thing's weird. I mean, I don't know if they have the camera crew there, but
I hope they filmed it.
Yeah, but even that, I don't know. I thought that if Jay had Instagram thing was fake, but I think
it's verified.
That's
right. So that was actually I always thought that was like a joke.
My wife told me about it. I'm like, that's not real. Jay doesn't have social media. She showed me today. I'm like, really?
I think she was kind of running it for him a little bit. Okay. It was like it was for the brand. But it is, but I think ultimately it's his account. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It was.
I'm really upset about it. I know that.
Yeah, super upset.
Who was he married to again?
Kristen Cavallari.
Crazy anti-vaxxer.
I'm not gonna act
really feel.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm not gonna act like I wouldn't.
Right. Well, that's not. I'm not talking about that. I wouldn't marry it.
I mean, yeah, but crazy can be fun.
Correct.
Word. So we'll see. Maybe he gets a commentator job.
Maybe he's the fourth quarterback for your Chicago Bears.
Now that would be a story. Jake comes in for the competition. There we go.
Well, that's the other thing is does Cam Newton ride into New England on a white horse?
I don't really give a fuck.
It'd have to be really
white horse.
Really white one.
I don't want anybody to go rolling into New England. Let him suffer for a little bit.
Maybe he's. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought bad
scene.
Jameis Winston's going to be the third quarterback in the Saints. I mean,
it's really going to be the second quarterback, but
he's probably going to make less money than Taysom Hill.
Would you put Taysom Hill at quarterback, or would you put Jameis Winston?
No, but
you don't bring Winston in if
there's your long term. Bill of goods that Taysom Hill is something. I don't know if they were just trying to get trade for him or something, but
correct. It's bullshit. If he was something, they would already make the move.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Winston's trying to be the next Bridgewater.
Winston took less money to go to New Orleans. I think Pittsburgh offered him more.
Wow.
From what I heard.
And that was one that you had called, though. You said he'd be good in Pittsburgh behind Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I did. I thought he would be.
I guess he didn't think so.
Maybe he wants to get back at Tampa.
That could be.
I wonder what other offers he had. I mean, I would, if I was the Jets, I would have looked at him.
Giants?
No.
Who's behind Jones?
I don't know. Nobody good.
Exactly.
Luletta, who I did like out of the draft, but
yeah.
I don't know if he's still there or not.
I think he is.
I know he went to jail.
Maybe Seattle might have been a spot for him, but now they drafted Gordon.
Well,
or they
undrafted.
Undrafted, yeah. Wow, how about that? Sorry, Patrick Shelton, your boy.
Sorry, P. Shells.
Fell like a rock.
I think it tells you a lot about how the people thought about the quarterbacks of the draft. I think you learned about how they felt about the offensive linemen in this draft.
But I think what Diddy says about them, about people realizing with the shortened off season, projects is not what you wanted, and right. I think that was what was king in the draft. With that, they drafted a lot of chalk. I mean,
Gordon had a lot of production, but his mechanics
right,
need a lot of improvement.
Although so does Cole McDonald's mechanics too. I mean, he's got funky mechanics, but I think he's a little more just athletic in general.
I agree.
So
I wouldn't mind the Bears picking him up as an undrafted free agent, though. But it just didn't happen.
Is this year we see Tyler Bray?
no.
God, I hope not.
We're in trouble if that happens.
What last thing before we go is, do you think that they pick up the 5th-year option on Mitch?
Would I know? Could I see Pace doing it? Yes.
I say no and no. No way. Costs too
Like
much. Unless the only way you pick up a 5th-year option is if he finds a way, wins the quarterback competition, shows something completely that he hasn't
They
shown.
have to decide by May 4th.
Right. If my thing is, if this is a true competition, they want to sell it like that, you pick up the 5th year, because now you're really showing
My
it's a true
timetable was wrong.
competition. So I don't know. I think he might.
The
I agree with it? No.
The reason to pick it up is to hedge your bets that if he does ball out, that you have him locked up.
And you also show the optics that this is a true competition if you pick up the 5th year.
That's true.
Right. But the reason you don't is just because you don't,
You're tired. Well, I think they already showed that with
Just-
Trey Burton.
you're just sending a message kind of saying, like, you know what, like, we're not, you got to prove it. Like, it's really prove it.
Mm.
I think a good point was made. It was Lester Wilfong again said that it's $24 million. It's basically the same as the franchise tag, because even if he balls out, they could still franchise tag him if they wanted without the 5th-year option. So like they still have some protection against just losing him outright.
Right.
If for some reason if he doesn't ball out, let's say that Foles sucks or gets hurt and Mitch is just whatever, and then we're sitting here with like
No quarterbacks.
no quarterbacks, which is unfortunately
Tyler fucking Bray.
that's a thing that could happen. You could but Mitch, let's say Mitch comes close to 2018 and showing a little bit of promise, then you could franchise him for 1 year and kind of make him prove it again.
I'm not writing him off yet either. I mean, I am thinking
I
that
want
it's
to.
not going to
I
happen.
want
I
to.
want.
Like I said,
I want him to work out just because I love this team.
right.
But-
Cheer on Sunday, boo on Monday. But I just think, like, to me, it makes everything a lot easier if they can just walk away after this season, like, because it's kind of setting up that way. It's just setting up for that. Like, to me, it would complicate things a lot more if he has another 2018 year, because I just don't think I don't foresee a scenario where he plays any better than that.
Fair.
I think that would complicate things.
I'll say that we don't pick it up, though. I think it's very much a Trey Burton situation that we're done. We're done with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be part of the overall message of prove it.
Yeah.
Like, because Foles basically negotiated himself down to a prove it contract, even though he's still going to get his money basically. But, so I think it kind of puts them on equal footing to not pick up the option.
True.
So that's what I think. Anyway, that's it. That's the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following us on Twitter. Check out the other little fun handle that I came up with, the RoboCole, because Nagy called Cole Komet RoboCop, so it's Robo_Cole. Having fun
Part
with
man, part machine, all Bears tied in.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, check out everything that's going on with the Brawl Network. I think you touched on it briefly. There's a new show with Des Clark that's coming out.
Brandon Jackson, too, from the Packers today.
Brandon Jackson's going to be on the Titletown Brawl now. He's added to the regular host list of that show, so that's cool for them.
Byron Chamberlain.
Break down that. Yeah, I got Byron Chamberlain on the Vikings. So big things happening, and we will
chasing
be
decent. Gotta get that good chasing decent.
More chasing decent.
Got one coming in.
Boom.
Chasing decent shirt. Oh
Yeah, buddy. Me too. I can't wait to get it.
Check it out. Look for those. Look out for the Fanatics links. We're going to have a bunch of retail online stuff links launching soon. Different ways for you to save money. And just appreciate everybody. Appreciate you listening. Just another episode of the Tailgate Show.
The bars.
The draft is over. Thank God.
Commit the goat.
The ham pig. The pig ham. Him. Bear pig. Ham.
Robocall.
Ham bear pig.
Touchdown Jesus, baby.
Oh, snap.
Towel.